Welcome back to Margaritas in Paradise. I'm fortunate to have Jack Corbett here, a known author and an expat that's been living in Thailand for quite a while. Jack, welcome. And
good to see your place, Tom.
I appreciate it. So me and Jack's been friends for a long time as well. Jack, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
I grew up in a small town, a country next to a golf course. So in that sense, I was a country boy. I learned to ride horses when I was 7 years old, shooting guns, bows and arrows, hunting, and all that. So graduated from high school, went to college, got my undergraduate in history, English. Vietnam War was going on then. We were all scared to death that we're going to be drafted. And then I end up working. I got my MBA and I got a job with the Hardy Salt Company selling salt in Chicago. Anyway, very fortunate that my family had farms in central Illinois. But I decided to quit my job with Hardy Salt and I end up living on this farm. So anyway, I'm on this farm 23 years. So that's another life, should we say, my 9 lives or more.
Right.
And then right before I met you, Tom, my dad died. I retired from farming, actively farming, still farm manager, Huntman Farms. And I got interested in going to topless clubs. So much so is that we have a mutual friend, Big John, started using a digital camera. I like to think of myself, and I probably was, the first person to ever use a digital camera, bring it to these gentlemen's clubs.
You were definitely a pioneer.
I was a pioneer, absolutely. Okay. And John and I went to these clubs, including that one, and we tried to get the guys interested in what we were doing. We had the digital cameras. I was bringing a digital camera in these clubs with a laptop, taking pictures, and nobody else is doing it. Started doing photography all over the United States. So at that point in time, I was also starting to write some books about my experiences. I've written now 6 books.
6 books?
6 books, yeah.
Right. Which are all available on Amazon?
All of them are available on Amazon, and most of them are available at Lulu.com too.
Lulu?
Barnes & Noble, which is associated, yeah.
Right.
But you won't find it in a bookstore because these are considered to be, well,
a little bit risque.
Yeah, right. Definitely.
I have a copy of one of Jack's books right here. It's Pattaya. All right. Anyway, check that description below. There'll be a link in there. This is kind of like I was talking about in another video, Private Dancer. Okay, this is one of those books that you need to read if you plan on living in Pattaya Thailand.
Well, I might interject too, and I agree with what you said because you're saying good things about my book. But money number one is one that people should read before they even venture forth and come here.
Well, that's a great example. That's a great example.
And the author Neil Hutchison, he's Australian, and I've actually had dinner and beers with him on 2 occasions at least.
Right. What brought you to Thailand? Better yet, you came to Thailand. What brought you to Pattaya? You had a lot of choices.
Okay, we're going to blame it on Big Daddy. He's your friend and mine. And he convinces me to go with him on his trip. And I convinced John, my friend John, to go with me, my computer friend.
Right.
So we both go with Big Daddy and Hawkeye. And we had a good time in Thailand for about 10 days. Went to Pattaya, by equal time between Pattaya and Bangkok. So I thought, well, God, I liked it there. I had a lot of fun.
Were you hooked?
Yeah, hooked enough that I got the next trip was just a few months later, and I stayed in Thailand for a whole month.
Thailand does that to you. Okay.
Addictive. It addicted you because you're here.
Right. So how long have you lived here?
I've lived here for 18 years now. And that includes 17 years plus in my condo that I bought, which is near yours, of course.
Right. How about, do you miss the U.S.?
Not that much. I'm not planning on going back. I probably will go back, but I'm not looking forward to it.
Did you initially have any hurdles, things that just didn't make sense to you, or things that you could recommend to our viewers?
Well, my main hurdle,
Yeah.
I can't get here soon enough and actually move here.
Right.
Because I was having this condo built at Wongamut Residence, and
Sure.
it took them 10 or 11 months, I can't recall. So I lived in another place much farther away.
Right. Yeah, I remember.
And waiting for it to be built.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't be living here soon enough and actually entrench myself. That was my main hurdle. I don't think, Tom, you had any hurdles moving here. I mean, you had friends here.
You know, my biggest hurdle was having property and trying to minimize my life.
You had vehicles.
Sure.
And I had a sports car,
Right.
a Mazda Miata sports car, and I had a Dodge, not a Dodge, yeah, it was a Dodge, four-wheel drive pickup truck.
Sure.
So I had to sell those. And I had 38 guns, most of which I sold,
Right.
and furniture to get rid of. And that was more of the stumbling block, I think,
Right.
for both of us.
Sure. Dog or cat?
Well, I've had 9 lives. The dog has only 1.
Yeah.
Cat has 9.
So cat. All right. Well,
Yeah.
that's interesting. If you're living here in Thailand, do you need to own a car or a motorbike?
No, you don't. Absolutely do not need. I know people that have lived here as many years as I've had.
Sure.
There's this English fellow, for example, and he has a girlfriend, and she drives him around on her motorbike.
Right.
And he never takes a motorbike taxi, for example.
Sure.
All right. So he walks a lot, and he just gets around, all these taxis, or his girlfriend now.
Sure.
And there's other people who are using constantly Bolt. Okay,
Yeah,
which
Bolt
is
app.
great, half the price of a normal taxi.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't need to buy a motorbike or even ride one if they're scared to drive one.
And of course, we brought up Bolt many times.
I've recently had people who are friends of mine who have gotten very severely injured on motorbikes.
Yeah.
And I fractured my collarbone a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, and it was a freak accident.
Somebody living here in Thailand, what are your recommendations concerning medical insurance? Does somebody need medical insurance while living here?
Well, I think we both would agree that you really need it. Okay, because I'm kind of familiar with the healthcare system here.
Sure.
Having a personal experience, I was fortunate. I was 58 years old when I moved here. I locked into this Bupa insurance company, which is British at the time.
Right.
And it was quite a good insurance company, but
Sure.
you had to be less than 60, else they wouldn't take you. Okay. And the good thing about that insurance company was that you could be 85, 90 years old, and it'll still cover you. Your premiums would go up high, but and the other companies wouldn't.
What do you think about medical care here in Thailand?
I think we both agree, and I think our friend John would agree that it's far superior to what we would be getting in the United States.
Medical care here is very affordable for the most part.
Oh yeah, and I've been hearing all kinds of nightmares about the United States now, and it was awful when I left.
Right.
And by the way, that was
Prescriptions
a
and things like
real
that.
primary reason why I moved here. I mean, I was scared to death about staying in the United States any longer, and I had good insurance,
Right.
good health insurance, but I'd have to wait 2 or 3 months just to see my own doctor.
Right.
I do want to say about Bangkok Pattaya Hospital, for those who are listening into this.
Yeah.
Bangkok Pattaya Hospital has to compete with the whole rest of the world. Okay, for example, you've got excellent hospitals, I'm sure, in Singapore.
Sure.
Okay. You've got excellent hospitals in wherever, all across the world. Okay, you're going to pay for it.
Sure.
Okay, United States. But Bangkok Pattaya Hospital, for example, must compete with some of the best hospitals in the United States because they have, how many golf courses here? About 50 or 60?
Yeah, there's golf courses
Yeah.
everywhere.
Golf courses everywhere. They'll have these golf vacations, for example, and invite you from the United States or Germany or wherever, Russia even, and say, come on over and play golf. But by the way, you can have your heart transplant or whatever,
Right.
Bangkok Pattaya
Yeah.
Hospital, a lot
Or
cheaper.
liposuction or
Yeah.
cosmetic surgery or whatever. They do these packages.
And they've got to be just as good as anywhere in the United States, for example.
Right. What do you think, Ford or Toyota?
Or Toyota.
Huh?
Ford.
Ford. Okay.
Ford.
All right.
Or a Toyota. I'd take the Ford, probably.
Take the Ford.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of questions, okay,
Yeah, you got a lot.
about transferring money from the United States or whatever country you're from to Thailand. Do you have any recommendations on how you personally handle
Well, I
that?
think both of us, when we first came here, we just simply use our ATM card.
Right.
I'm sure what I'm doing now and have for a long time, I just arrange from my bank. Now I'll call them up or say, okay, I want $10,000 put in my Thai bank, and they've got the routing codes and so on and so forth, and there's a transfer fee that you got to pay.
Sure.
And so that's what I do. Is I just say, hey, I need 10,000 for the next 2 or 3 months or whatever, or longer, or I'll use a credit card, American credit card.
All right. So obviously you're here on a visa, right?
Right.
Okay. Is it a retirement visa?
Retirement visa, same as you've got.
Okay. As far as the retirement visa is concerned, is that something that you handle yourself, or do you use an agent?
I think you use an agent, if I
do.
recall.
I do.
And a lot of my friends do use an agent.
Right, right.
I did it myself, and I started mine as they call it OA visa. I basically got my visa in the United States,
Okay. Right.
which is more difficult to do. And
So right now, what do you do?
every year I renew it, just like you do.
You do it yourself.
Yeah, I just do it myself.
Okay. And it's a pretty easy process.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. That's the first thing you got to do to keep your retirement visa active.
Right.
You've got to show that you've had, I think, 3 months, something like that. You've had 800,000 baht in the bank. So that's the first thing you do is you get a bank statement, and you've got a recording of what you've done.
Sure.
And then after that, you've just got some basic paperwork to fill out, and they can kind of help you next to the Thai immigration without actually paying any money.
Sure.
And they'll help you fill out the forms and whatever pictures you need. So it's a 2-day process. You go in there for maybe several hours.
Right.
Okay. Say it's a Thursday, and then you pick up your passport with a visa attached the next day.
There you go.
It's 3,800 baht.
Does that include reentries?
No.
Okay. That would be additional.
Right, right.
How have you adjusted to the climate here in
Haha. Me?
Yeah.
And, I've acclimated a long time ago. I'm not having a problem, and we both live near the beach.
Right.
So it's significantly cooler right here
Right.
where we're at.
Breezes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
If you knew somebody, or somebody else knew somebody that was thinking about moving to Thailand,
I think for the average person coming here, I would be, if you stay for a prolonged period of time, I'd rent. I'd rent till I knew exactly what I was doing, what area I was interested in, for example.
Check out the place well.
Absolutely.
Test the waters. Let's talk a little bit about cost of living, possibly even budgeting. Yeah, do you have any recommendations for people who are living here now or thinking about coming here? How much money they're going to need to live comfortably?
I don't know. I'd say ballpark if you're going to stay at a hotel like Lek Villa, something like that.
Sure.
And you could probably get by and have a fairly good time. What do you think? For a couple $1,000s a month?
Right.
Something like that.
Including lodging. Okay. Can you live on $1,000 a month here?
Well, we have a mutual friend who is.
Right.
But he's not having a good time.
Okay. But
he goes out.
He doesn't have the time that we have.
No, but he goes out. He gets food from the street vendors because he can't afford to go to restaurants.
Okay.
Yeah, and he cannot afford to have a lot of female companionship anymore.
Right.
But he's doing it for $1,000, and he's probably enjoying life a lot better than he would in the United States because we've got a better climate here and more opportunity for doing things outdoors.
Right.
Because
so $1,000 is doable.
Yeah.
$2,000, you're going to be a lot happier. Right?
Oh yeah.
More happy.
Oh yeah.
And if you had $3,000, what?
$3,000, you'll be living pretty darn well.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. You'll have a nice condo that you're renting or that you bought and making payments on. You're going to be having a lot of female companionship.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot more than you'd have in the United States.
Beer or wine?
Wine kind of makes me sleepy.
Okay. So it's beer?
Beer.
Beer. Accommodation. Somebody's coming here to Thailand.
For the average person, I would say something like Lek Villa would be a good you know, who's going to stay in a hotel.
Good option.
Yeah, very good option.
Hotels concerned.
Yeah, you're paying, what, 1,300 baht, something like that per night, which would be, what, 45 American dollars?
Yeah, 45, $40, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
and that's
point.
a lot cheaper than what you're going to even stay at the real cheap places in the United States.
What do you think about if somebody wanted to rent a place in this area that we're in right now? Could they do it for 10,000 baht a month, which would be about $300?
Yeah, they could. They could.
So for $300 a month, you could live on the beach.
Right, right. I was thinking more in terms of a little more high dollar, like where you used to live, Park Beach, 15,000 baht. You know, still that's awfully cheap. That's about 450 American dollars per month.
Exactly.
And you're really living well. I mean, you're just.
Yeah.
I used to think of Park Beach as only movie stars or high dollar people were there. When I first saw that place, that's where you used to live.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's impressive as all get out.
The area offer means to find adequate companionship.
We're going to talk about male companionship or female or both.
Well, okay, so let's go with let's call it both. Okay, how about friends? Is it easy to find friends here?
The fact that it's really great here is that you have the opportunity, which you don't have in the United States, of meeting people from all over the world and becoming good friends with them. Yeah. Okay, I've got friends that are from all over the world, and it gives you a perspective that's different. You're not going to get anywhere else. Right. Okay,
a mass of international.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a great thing about here, and you get that cultural thing that you're not going to get in the United States. Right. As far as the women are concerned, you have a lot of opportunity for having companionship. I'll say that. A lot
of opportunity, for sure.
Yeah, with much younger women. Right. A lot of men here who are friends of mine like to go to the Philippines and prefer the Philippines to, say, Thailand. Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because of the language barrier, in the Philippines that you have here. And it's a Catholic country. Okay, it's a Christian country, so you're going to have more of the Christian upbringing as opposed to the women here who are Buddhists. Right. Where the Buddhist is kind of more like anything goes. You don't have that sense of right and wrong
so
as much.
That's an interesting point.
Let's rely on luck. We get back to the Philippines.
Right.
A lot of guys find that there's a language barrier here, and there's a sense of humor of areas. The Thais don't have the same sense of humor in general. We do.
Right.
We Americans, like you and me, Tom. So I choose to find female companions who speak better English, are more motivated, or smarter. Right. And if I find...
But that's hard.
We're talking 5%. Remember, 95% of the bar girls, are not worth anything, according to our buddy. So he's spot on. These girls are pretty vacant. You know, we're talking 95% up here. And I'm kind of looking for that 5%. My sense of humor can kind of register with those girls. Or my values might register more with those girls. As long as I can find that 5%, I see no reason to go to the Philippines. Well, we've got everything here. Right. Where you and I live here on Wangamat Beach.
Do you cook in or do you eat out?
I got the cooking facilities in my condo, and yes, nice I do kitchen. Keep food at hand. Yeah. The restaurants are very economical here, and then you have ability to get food on the street or whatever. It's going to be pretty cheap. So I kind of look at it like, why should I do those dishes when I can just go to a restaurant twice a day?
How about 7-Elevens? Do you ever use that?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. You know, get a TV dinner, pop it in the microwave.
They'll cook it for you.
Don't cook it. But, they got everything in 7-Elevens.
Absolutely.
Nothing like the 7-Elevens it might have in the United States.
Do you enjoy Thai cuisine?
I go like once a day, probably, for Thai cuisine.
And you can eat spicy.
Oh yeah.
So that's.
I think Thai cuisine is superior for that reason to Chinese cuisine because they emphasize more the spicy thing. I think it's one of the great cuisines in the world, Thai cuisine.
Do you recommend any restaurants?
Like Surf and Turf.
Surf and Turf?
Yeah, it's owned by Long Beach Hotel. Right on the beach, a huge assortment of food.
Vegemite or butter?
I'd probably take the Vegemite.
All right.
A little healthier.
What does your typical day look like?
Typically, I might go to Surf and Turf restaurant and have a late breakfast there. Okay. You know, usually Thai food. Usually I stay very busy, for somebody who's been retired because I have all these different projects I do. Most of my 6 books I wrote here in Thailand. For example, that takes a lot of time. And I do a lot of photography here, so there's a lot of working on pictures and videos that I do every day on a day-to-day basis. So I kind I stay busy. And then I try to get in exercise during the day. Later on in the day, maybe swimming or it'd be Centauro Hotel where I do aerobic exercise. And then I would either go out drinking at night, partying, or I'd stay at my condo.
So do you go out every night?
No.
How many nights a week do you go out?
I probably go out about 3 nights a week.
Okay.
About half the time. About half.
That's good. That's good.
When I go out, I don't think anybody has a better time than I do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I can't. Not even you. And you have a great time. I know.
You know it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's easy to find things to do then?
Well, for me it is.
Well, yeah.
Because I exercise every day. If nothing else.
You have a great routine, really.
Yeah. Well, I never drink. I never drink during the daytime.
Yeah.
I never drink during the daytime. I'm too busy. I want to keep my mind active.
Right.
You know, and that's really unhealthy. But when I party, I party.
Sure. Do you have any hobbies?
Oh yeah. I used to write books. Maybe I wrote my last book.
Yeah.
I do a lot of photography. I do a lot of videos.
And I'll tell you what, Jack Corbett here, we could probably do a part 1 and part 2 with Jack because he's lived here so long. He's just a wealth of information. So anyway, we have to kind of watch what we're saying here, though. But
yeah.
Do you? What is the hardest thing to deal with about living in Thailand? Sure.
There's things that are going to aggravate me that happen here. People with closed minds. I could say, well, okay, Thai people have closed minds. That's a blanket statement, okay?
Right.
And I don't mean to sound that way because I'll be very racist.
Way.
Yeah. I'm not, but I could say that, okay? But I could equally say that, okay, if Thai people have closed minds, okay, what about what's going on in the United States right now with this absolute polarization of our country, okay? And people are rabidly angry at people all the time there, okay? They're complaining all the time in the United States. So whatever my criticism about people with closed minds here, I would say be 3 times worse in the United States. Right. Okay?
You have family?
In the United States, yeah.
What did your family think about you living here?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
They have a totally different value system than I do. My sisters, I've got 3 sisters.
Right.
What's left of the family, and then I've got a nephew, well, several nephews for that matter, and one I'm particularly close with, and he's been here twice, so he and I are kind of more like-minded.
Sure.
But my sisters are women, and they, I don't want to say this about all women, but they might be thinking that I'm going out with younger women. I'm here because of the women. I'm here because I can drink more or whatever. I don't know if they're really thinking that way or not.
Right.
I don't want to.
They just have a different view.
Yeah, and they got a different lifestyle. Okay. Well, they're just got a different lifestyle. They're all married.
Right.
I'm not married or not anymore.
Sure. And
so what I'm interested in is not going to interest them. Right. I think that's a fair statement. And it's nothing derogatory or negative about my sisters because I'm proud of all 3 of them. But they're very gifted women. They're just not into what I'm into.
What do you think is one of the best decisions you ever made in your life?
Well, moving here.
Moving here.
Moving here is the best decision I made in my life. I should have done it sooner.
Right.
No, I should have done it sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. About
the worst decision in my life. But anyway, never mind.
What is the worst decision you ever made?
When I got married in America, which I'll never do that again.
There's lots of opinions about that, but we're not going to get into that right now.
It's neither here nor there.
How about meat or tofu?
Meat or tofu? Yeah. Well, I usually don't just go out and order tofu. I might get some weird things to eat that are definitely not what your typical American or European is going to eat. Right. Like eating bugs or something like that. Or
you eat bugs?
Once in a while.
Okay.
I know Thai women that won't eat it.
Okay.
Actually, but I've eaten rat, for example.
So, meat or tofu?
Well, I think I'd probably subsist better on meat.
All right.
But I'm not really a meat eater per se.
What is tofu?
It's kind of I'm not sure what it is. It's kind of a vegetarian thing. I don't even get it.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
What countries have you visited?
Oh, countries. Well, I started out by not moving there, just visiting Mexico
just visiting.
with my parents.
Right.
You know, when I was a kid, we go to Mexico. Okay. Later on, went to different countries. Once I moved to the farm, I had the funds to, you know, spend more money on traveling. But, you know, we started out in Mexico, and then later on I went to Russia, for example, Soviet Union then.
Right.
I went to Japan, and went to Hong Kong, which is not a country, but, you know. I went to China, 1979. It was communist China then. It was a lot different from now. Been to Israel twice. I've been to Central America, Guatemala, and Belize. Been to Malaysia much more recently. Been to Vietnam 4 times. What have I omitted? Probably a couple countries.
So you're well traveled.
Pretty well. Yeah,
more
pretty
than
well.
most, probably more than most Americans.
Right. I've been to Egypt. I omitted that. That was at the same time I went to Israel, so we have to bring that in. Of course, Canada, you know, which is close to the United States. Probably a couple here I forgot.
Right. What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? I like to exercise, for one thing.
Yeah. Fitness.
You know, fitness. Yeah. You know, you get your endorphins from fitness, just like you would for many other activities such as.
And there's adequate. You use Centara fitness facilities. There's adequate fitness facilities in this area.
Centara is just top of the top, I think.
Of the line.
Yeah, and it's actually cheaper than what you think it is. But they have probably $500,000 worth of exercise equipment in that one room there. For example, Centara. And then I can swim in the ocean. Just the other night, I did 1 hour in the ocean after dark even. Or swimming in our own pool. I do a lot of that.
What's next in your life?
What is next in my life? Well, let's see, I've written 6 books, and I'm tired of writing books. It's kind of very lonely writing books. So
you've exhausted the
writing. Except for what I write on my website. I do a lot of writing in my blog.
Jack has a website, and that website is it Alpha?
AlphaPro.com.
AlphaPro.com.
Been around for 25 years now.
Yeah. I'll put a link in there for that website as well. So
what am I doing now with my life? Tom, did I ever give you a calendar?
No.
You never got a calendar? Well, this is the 2023 calendar. I like to make my own calendars because it's kind of fun. Nobody else is doing it. This is got different Thai women on the beaches. It's called Pattaya Eye Candy Beaches Calendar.
Right.
That's 2023. And so I've taken some beaches in this area, and there's also an island nearby called Koh Larn Island. And these are the beaches I call Pattaya beaches, and I've got some women on the calendar.
Right.
And I'm working now on, this is the next thing in my life, I guess, the 2024 calendar, because I could always do better.
Koh Larn Island, by the way, is the island 7 kilometers out. That's in my view here.
I think it's underrated island.
Way underrated. Yeah.
Way underrated. A lot of people want to go to Koh Samui, or they want to go to Phuket or whatever.
When you have this place right on our doorstep.
Unbelievable. Right. And for you people listening in here, there's a typical tourist route. Okay, those tourists who actually go there. I know lots of people have never even gone there, who live here, who actually live here because they're thinking the other places are so great and Koh Larn is nothing. But what you do is you rent a motorbike right there at the pier, and you got 6 beaches there, and it just cruise around, and the scenery is fantastic. Right. Do it from a motorbike. And the swimming's good there. Swimming is excellent there.
Do you have anything else to add or say?
I don't know. I'm getting kind of hungry, you.
Okay.
Have I spoken enough?
Well, yeah. Lobster or crayfish?
Well, lobster is great. I don't eat that much of it because it's expensive, and I don't have like a super desire for eating lobster.
Right.
You know, it's excellent. Crayfish, I don't know. You like crayfish?
Sure.
Could be good. Other types of, you know.
I want to thank Jack Corbett for coming here. Everybody has a story, and I appreciate his time and honesty. And anyway, all right.
Your hand is bigger than mine. Mine's pretty big.
Your hand is big.
Yeah.
If you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee or a beer, there's a link in the description below for that. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. There's a like button. Smash that. And then there's a bell there. You can hit that and you'll be notified when new videos come out. Thank you for coming along. If you have any comments, please put them in the comment section. If you know anybody that would be somebody good to interview, if you would like to be interviewed, if you're local, please put that in the comment section. All right. Have a great day.